Good evening and welcome to the regular session of Council, Monday, December 16th, 2024, 6 o'clock p.m. Hybrid meeting and Mayor Grantham is joining us virtually. The municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc acknowledges that it is located on Treaty 21 territory. We are thankful to the generations of people who have taken care of this land, including the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, the Munsee Delaware First Nation, and the Oneida Nation of the Thames. Our vision, Strathroy-Caradoc communities will provide economic opportunities, well-being, and places to call home for residents. And our mission is that we serve the communities of Strathroy-Caradoc by delivering modern municipal services, proactively planning for the future, and facilitating partnerships that advance our goals. Roll call, Councillor Wilsey is absent with notice, and Councillor Derbyshire holds his proxy. As I mentioned, Mayor Grantham is joining us virtually. Call to order and approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda of tonight's meeting? Councillor Kennis, Councillor Hippel, all in favor? Passes, thank you. Declaration of pecuniary interests. I see none. There is approval of the minutes. So we have the regular council minutes of December 2, 2024, and the Finance Committee of December 9th, 2024. Can we approve them all in one motion, or does somebody want to separate them? I'll take a motion to approve both, please. Councillor Pelkman, Councillor Hammer, all in favor? Thank you. Communications, first item tonight, 5.1, Financial Services Department, the November 2024 check listing, and can I have a motion that we receive this communication for information? Councillor Brennan, Councillor Kennis, all in favor? Received, thank you. And Director.
Before council is the check listing for November, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from council members? Councillor Hippel.
Thank you. Through yourself. It is honestly just a question and curiosity. It was, now I'm gonna have to find it, sorry. It was, I believe, the a cannabis, does that make sense? It was a monetary thing, a monetary payment for legalizing cannabis. Does that make sense to you? I know it's on here because I read it and I went, what is that? But I had forgotten my notes on this, so, oh, maybe it was the reserves. You know what? I'm gonna retract that question because I'm at the wrong spot.
No problem, thank you. Any other questions from council? I see none, so the motion on the floor, we voted it through? Yes. So we're good to go? Yep. Okay, we can move on to item number 6, reports from departments. We have the Legal and Legislative Services, 6.1.1. So this is the BIA report. Why don't we put the 3 motions on the floor and then we can go through the report. So there's 3 motions that we receive it. That we receive it for information, that we appoint the members being recommended to us, and that we move it over to the bylaws for consideration. I'll read those all out when we finally bring them through. But do we have somebody to put the motion on the floor? Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Pelkman, and the report. Who's producing that report to us? Oh, that'll be you, Brianna. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Chair. Through Chair to members, before you is a recommendation from the BIA Board of Management, updating their appointees. The recommendation is before you to appoint Mark Holmes, Daniel Keekins, Catherine Pacheco, Katie Phillips, Adam Rice, Courtney Sinclair, and Chris Traxett to the BIA Board for the balance of the term.
Questions from members? Councillor Brennan?
I would just say thanks to those people who are willing to put their names forward for leadership positions. Thank you.
Any other questions? None? Motion, we got 3 motions on the floor. Are we okay to deal with them all at once? Okay, all in favor? Passes, thank you. 6.2, financial services. Again, we have 3 recommendations. Are we prepared to put the 3 recommendations on the floor and receive the report? Great, thank you. So we receive the report FIN 2024-39 for information. And then that council confirms transfer to deferred revenues, reserves, and reserve funds in 2023 of $15,524,656, and transfers from deferred revenue, reserves, and reserve funds in 2023 of $15,691,234. And further, that council approved the transfers of 2023 year-end operating net revenue of $2,821,758 and 2023 capital net revenue of $5,749,543 from departmental services. Those are the 3 motions. Can I have somebody to make the 3 motions? Councillor Kennis, Councillor Brennan? Thank you. Questions? Councillor Hippel?
Thank you. So let me try this again. Your cannabis legalization grant, what exactly is that?
Through the chair to Councillor Hippel. So if you recall back when the province legalized the sale of cannabis, there was a grant that was provided to the municipalities that signed on, excuse me, to allow sale of cannabis within their municipalities. And that is the residual, pardon the pun, for the, from that grant that's left over until such time we can spend that.
Yes, follow up.
Thank you. So I guess that my question is, what would we spend that on?
Through the chair to Councillor Hippel, it could be anything that really council, it was basically to deal with anything to do with the legalization. So it was kind of wide open. I would suggest that, you know, it could be used for like downtown beautification because of the cannabis shops being downtown. We have cannabis shops out in some of the plazas. So, you know, I think it's kind of up to council how they would like to deal with that. But the general gist of that money was just around the legalization of cannabis, and if there was expenses that council or municipalities incurred during that process. We used it to sort of some bylaws and stuff like that, but this is sort of what's left over.
Thank you.
Any further questions? I have, sorry, Councillor Kennis, I had the mayor put his hand up first. Thank you. Mayor?
Yeah. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Hopefully you can hear me. More of a comment than anything, because I did have a question earlier to Director Dakin, and certainly our reserves are in a great position, and kudos to the director and past councils for getting us in that position. But more of a question and a comment is this, and I understand the reason for reserves are for a rainy day. And I guess my comment is, when is that rainy day going to come where we start to spend that money? You know, I'm certainly become cognizant of tax increases, and the community have had comments already about tax increases. And just, my comment is, when is that rainy day going to come when we begin to deplete our reserves? You know, I look at certain ones like the arenas reserve, knowing we're putting money in capital for arena repairs, and I look at ones like the community partnership program that has over $800,000 in it, that I think in the next couple of years we need to begin to have discussions about using the reserves, and underscoring that I do understand why we have reserves for a rainy day, but I think we owe it to the taxpayer to begin to spend the reserves, especially ones that are you know, set aside for other uses. And just more of a comment, Deputy Mayor, that Some of the reserves kind of alarm me how much money is in them, specifically community partnership programs. So that was more of a comment and on my soap opera, Deputy Mayor. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Your Worship. Any comment, Director, or want to let that slide?
Through the chair to the mayor, I think one of the things that we've been talking about even through our finance committee meetings up to now is that there is a lot of things coming at council and coming at the municipality from the studies that we've done. So I think you're going to see part of that financial plan involving the use of those reserves. So I think there's a fine balance between putting money away and also using those funds for the purposes in which they were alluded to.
Thank you. Councillor Kennett, you have a question.
A question, if I could comment on the last exchange as well. I mean, it's kind of like the reserves are kind of like building up some savings before the big spend, and I think we do have as the director has said, there's some big projects to happen in the next couple of years, and I really look at this as saving up to buy those things. So I think it's important that we have those as well, and it's, you know, rather than having to borrow all of it, at least we're starting with some savings, and I think that in the long run is beneficial. And especially when you see the amount of interest that was earned this year on some of the reserves, like the development charges fund and all that kind of stuff. I mean, all that money is going to help carry the load moving forward as well. My other comment was back on this cannabis grant. I just, you know, I guess how long do we keep it as a reserve? Like, can we say, you know, cannabis has been legalized and so there really isn't any more money to be spent? Can we move it to some sort of a general reserve to be used how we best see fit in the future, rather than keep it in this obscure reserve fund?
Through the chair to Councillor Kenneth, so I would recommend exactly that there's a number of reserves now that have sort of seen their process. Those monies are now sitting there, so it'd be a matter of just consolidating some of those reserves down into like the general government reserve or something specific, downtown improvement, those kinds of things, and just start using those up to do that. But I think that will be part of that whole financial plan being brought forward.
Thank you. Mayor Grantham, did you have any other question, or did you just leave your hand up?
Just left my hand up because technology evades me every once in a while. There you go.
No problem. Councillor Derbyshire.
Thank you. I just had a question. Are we dealing with 2023 or 2024? Because it says opening 2023, closing 2023. So are we actually seeing a year?
Good question.
Like what?
Director?
Through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire, so this is a result of the financial statements that you just passed last week at the council meeting. So these are the reserve transfers that are included in those statements. So this is 2023. It just so happens that you'll probably see this report probably within 3 months again for the 24.
Thank you. So we've done a whole year's worth of business out of this too.
Yes.
Okay, so that's just so we fully understand that this is not really to date. This is actually to a year ago.
And I see the director agreeing with you. Yes,
Okay.
that's
Thank
a true
you.
statement.
Just wanted to make that clear to everybody, that just when we get talking about the great shape and stuff, we've done a year of business out of this stuff already.
I think this is kind of our last step in closing off the books for 23 as we're getting into 24. Yes. Any other questions from members? Councillor Pelton?
Not a question, but a comment. When you're looking at the projects that have dominated our conversation over the last year and a half, you know, those are all multi-million-dollar spine projects, as I call them. And so having all these reserves of 200,000 and whatever will help us to be able to continue to do stuff after we make final decisions on those multi-million-dollar projects and start incurring the debt that we know is going to come. You know, we still need to fix sports fields and do do work for the municipality, and that's when these reserves will come in really handy and probably get used.
There's 25 years' experience on council talking. Any other questions or comments from council? None? So we have a motion on the books. Are we ready to, or actually we have three. Can they be voted on all as one? Does anybody want to separate them out? You see voted them all as one. All in favor? That passes. Thank you. Next up is 6.2.2 Q3 2024 financial status that we received for information. That's report FIN 2024-41. And that would be Director Dakin.
Thank you, Chair. So before you is sort of the Q3 report. So if you remember, this will be up to the end of September. So right now we're sitting around, I believe, just trying to find it. I think we're sitting around a $9 million surplus at the end of September. So as you can sort of see from just doing the reserve transfers that we just did for 2023, those numbers close in pretty quick. So we're at that stage right now at the end of September. There's October, November, and December, obviously, that need to move through. We're at about 52% of our total budget spend by the end of September. So we're pretty close to where we're at. And you can see it's kind of in line of where we were last year. So I think we're on track for another successful year. One of the things I will note is that now that we've passed the reserve transfers from 2023, we can actually firm up some of those reserve sheets that you see as part of this report quarterly as well. So that'll be cleaned up moving forward with the actual numbers. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Can I have somebody put the motion on the floor that we receive it for information? Councillor Pam or Councillor Kenneth seconded. Any questions from members? I see none. All in favor? Passes. Thank you. Next, 6.3.1. So this is report 39T-SC1702 and ZBA, zoning bylaw amendment 16-2024 Westdale Planning Evaluation Report BBP-2024-143. Wow. This carries 4 recommendations in total. So can we put all 4 on the floor first? Somebody to make the motion on all 4. Councillor Brennan, Councillor Canis, and then Tim, this would go to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and members of council. This is an application for red line revision in Mount Bridges, southwest sort of area of Mount Bridges, near Ruffin Road and Park House. A public, you can see the location map up now on the screen. The public meeting occurred on November 4th. There were a few comments that were addressed through conditions of approval. And tonight before you is our recommendation report in support of the applications moving forward. The red line revision would go to county council from this point, and the zoning bylaw amendment would go forward to you as a decision in the bills section of tonight's agenda. And so there is a bylaw on tonight's agenda in that regard. So just to, I won't go into the proposal too much. You'll remember it from just a few weeks ago, 4 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago now. It was meeting the policies. It's consistent with the provincial planning statement and consistent and conforms with the OPs, and that's why we believe it's good planning, and it's before you tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions about how the process went over the last 6 weeks, but that's where we're at for tonight. I will say that there's a second item on the agenda is for the north piece, and I'll speak to that one separately.
Great. Just before we take questions, I just want to make sure everybody understands the recommendations that we're putting forth, because there are 4 of them. So the first one, that BBP 2024-143 regarding the red line version to 39T, SC 1702, and ZBA 16-2024 be received for information. And then it's that the red line version for subdivision 39T-SC 1702 be approved in principle and draft conditions of approval be forwarded to the County of Middlesex for consideration and approval. The next is that zoning bylaws ZBA 16-2024, which would rezone the lands and lands legally known as part of Lot 17 Concession 2 from low-density residential R1-H-5 zone to site-specific low-density residential R1-24-H5 zone and low-density residential R1-H6 zone to a site-specific low-density residential R1-24-H6 zone B, which will allow for above noted red line of the draft plan of subdivision be approved, and that it be all referred to the bylaw section in tonight's meeting. So I just want to make sure we're clear for anybody that's listening what it is that we're doing. Questions from council? Councilor Kennis.
So maybe then just to summarize, what we're really doing is approving smaller lots and therefore more overall dwellings, and the infrastructure related to adding more dwellings, I guess, to the development.
Through the chair to Councillor Kennis, that's correct. So we're going from 84 to 114. That reduces the lot areas and lot frontages. You'll remember at the last meeting there was some question about the level of lot coverage, for example. They come back, and this is all in the report, but they come back with a 45% coverage. So 40 is the, as of right, 45, so just a 5% increase, not the 55 that was previously discussed. This is minor in nature. It's sort of relative. It's probably like a living room or a family room size increase. So so what I would say is we received as part of this whole package, application package, details about the stormwater functional level, servicing information, and engineering staff confirmed that what they were proposing worked in principle, and what we would do at this point is have those conditions move forward to county council. Yeah, and then it would be draft plan approved, and then they will take the next amount of time to create like construction level drawings of the services, and those services will have the capacity that's necessary. So in principle, we know that it's going to work. Now they're going to spend the additional time to get the details squared away properly.
Councillor Hippel.
Thank you through yourself to Tim. So once they get the details squared away and everything, does that come back to us? Just like, I'm not sure how that works.
Through the chair. So let me just, I definitely will answer the question, but I'll start by saying that this is no different than any other application insofar as this is a red line revision to the application, but generally the process is make the application to show us what kind of plan of subdivision you're going to do. We would bring this forward to you. You would say that this subdivision, this setup of lots works, provided that you do the additional work. You put the additional investment into the detailed level engineering drawings. Because if there was just a situation of you suggesting that 2 or 3 lots move one way or another during a public meeting, and they've gone through the process of doing detailed engineering works, that can be very expensive. So we look to make sure that generally in principle it's working out properly. And to answer specifically your question, no, it doesn't come back to Strathroy-Caradoc Council to review, to confirm that it's acceptable, that the pipes in the road are, at the proper grade and they're the right sized pipes. There is a possibility that some of the pipes need to connect to pipes within the municipal right of way, and you would see those ones. So because that's under your control. So that might come as a DC item, or it might come as, you know, just a straight cost, operating cost. It depends on the scenario that we're dealing with. But just generally in this case, these would be pipes that will eventually become Strathroy owned. But for the time being, they're privately constructed with the monitoring and review by local engineering staff to confirm that it's all being constructed correctly. And we get as-built drawings, and then you will see the assumption. So that's another point in time where you will see it. So it's actually after it's constructed, but you'll see, you know, the inspections have happened, the as-builts are done, they did do what they said they were going to do, and now we'd like to have that assumption happen, and that comes back to you, because that's when this becomes an asset for the municipality. Hopefully that answers the question and does a little bit more, but that's okay.
Councillor Derbyshire and then Councillor Hammond.
On page 12, you talk a little bit about infrastructure services and sewage treatment and wastewater. And could you just speak to that a little bit in terms of what we're saying here about our commitment to that and some of the capacity issues in Mount Bridges?
Through the chair to Councillor. So I will say a few things, and maybe Director Ortiz may add more to it. But you know, as we move forward with additional plans of subdivision, we want to be cognizant that as they come online, that we have this timed up with other things like the treatment facility, and making sure that that matches up. Also, there's a requirement for this subdivision to move forward that Park House gets improvements. And so all of these pieces need to be worked in conjunction, and it depends on the timing in which an individual group will want to come forward. We can only control so much. If a developer decides that they would like to come forward in 2025, or if they would like to come in 26 or 27 or 4 years down the road, something like that, we have to create these conditions, and we comments like this from engineering come forward to set it up that if you're going a long term down the road or at a different time, we need to be able to control when the different pieces are coming online.
I had Councillor Derbyshire, then Councillor Brennan, thanks.
Thank you. I was just gonna ask about the stormwater management pond, or if there is to be one, or where it is. I know it talks a little bit about that the receiving body is able to handle what's going in, but I don't know if that means we're going directly into the drain, or whether there's a pond scheduled, or whether we're part of that, or how exactly. I see that it did say there that 122, block 122 was a stormwater management. I'm assuming that's where the pond is going, but I don't know.
Through the chair, you're 100% correct, Councillor. There is a stormwater management pond. It is the low area of this subdivision is where that stormwater management pond is going. It is the stormwater management pond for this draft plan of subdivision as it was proposed before. It's also for the northern block that we'll talk about shortly. It's also the stormwater management pond for the lands to the west of here, the Sifton lands. It is a stormwater management pond. During this red line revision, there's slight adjustments to the lotting, and so it technically will get slightly larger, but it's not significantly larger to have a long conversation about it, just to say that it's basically the same size as it was before, just slightly larger. And it is intended to accommodate all of the water from those 3 subdivisions. Why was it larger before? We could talk about that maybe when the Sifton one comes forward, but I will say that they were imagining that additional water was coming from outside of the subdivision, which isn't the case any longer. or isn't necessary any longer, and so it will be going through the stormwater management facility prior to going south of Park House. There's also natural features here where some of the water will head there as well to make sure that we keep a water balance. These are significant wetlands and natural heritage features, not provincially, but still significant, and so we want to make sure that the amount of water that's going into those wooded areas and natural features stay relatively the same. So that means both sides. We want to make sure the water still continues to go in there, but not too much. So it's a balance, and it's one of the things that has taken a long time for these subdivisions to move forward as we move through those details.
Councillor Brennan?
Thank you very much. When I take a look at this report and the subsequent report on Westdale North, on Westdale North report, there's a map on page 2 of 32, and it shows the Westdale North, which we're not talking about quite yet, but what I want to talk about is the Park House Rougham Road situation. And when I take a look at the map on page 2 of 32 in the second report, I'm looking at Edgewood Lane going all the way through, almost on a diagonal from Park House over to Rougham. And I'm just wondering, have we done any traffic control studies or projections about what traffic calming measures might be necessary within this, these 3 subdivisions? Because I almost see that there could be an issue down the road of people wanting not to go down Park House over to Rougham and just go through Edgewood Lane and go right through the subdivision. And I'm just wondering, what, have we taken a look at where the stop signs are going to be, whether or not traffic calming measures are going to be necessary? Because when I took a look at the pattern of what we had going on in all over our municipality, of people speeding within residential areas, I just see that Edgewood Lane from Park House in the lower right going over on an angle towards Rougham. And I just worry that that's going to become a shortcut. And have we done anything to take a look at how we're going to control traffic within those residential areas so it doesn't become another speeding problem? And if this has gone to our traffic committee, because I'm just looking at it down the road, and I see the complaints all the time about speeding. And I look at this configuration when you put the 3 together, and I see potential problems if we don't get on top of it right away. So I don't know who that's to, whether that goes through the planner, or is just a recommendation that this go to our traffic committee for study. I just like to get something back on that, because speeding is a problem everywhere, and when I see a long stretch of road like this going between 3 different subdivisions, I just worry. So that's just all I'm saying.
Through the chair, we'll take the no back. That's the first step. Bringing it to that committee, certainly that's an option, and we can certainly explore that as we move forward with it. Yes, we had looked at stop signs and where they can fit in. We also looked at, you'll see in the Sifton part of this subdivision, it isn't a straightaway that they have to come to an intersection in order to make that trip through. We were trying to improve things there. But certainly understand where you're coming from on the Edgewood Lane from Park House until it makes that first turn well into the northern part of the subdivision. It is a straightaway. There's 2 of them, and certainly your point is well taken.
Any other questions from council? So I've read out the 1, 2, 3, 4 recommendations. And we have that first and seconded. Can we deal with them all as one vote? I see everybody nodding yes. All in favor? Passes, thank you. 6.3.2, I guess I better read these out also since they're kind of technical. So we'll be looking first, this is the Westdale North subdivision, ZBA 3-2022, and an evaluation report of BBP 2024-144. So the recommendation is to receive BBP 2024-144 regarding 39T-SC 2201 and ZBA 3-2022 be received for information, be received by council for information. Then there's a recommendation that subdivision 39T-SC 2201 be approved in principle and forwarded to the County of Middlesex for consideration and approval. That the rezoning applications ZBA 3/2022, which would rezone the lands and the lands, I don't know why it says that twice, the lands legally known as PT Lot 17 Concession 2 from future development FD zone to a low-density residential R1-24-H-5 zone, which will allow residential dwellings and to environmental EP zone to accommodate the natural heritage be approved. Boy, that's wordy. And bylaw 12824 be referred to the consideration of bylaw section of the agenda for approval. So we've got 1, 2, 3 recommendations. Sorry, 4, because we're receiving it for information. Somebody to make the 4 recommendations. Councillor Belkman, Councillor Kennis, thank you. Questions and comments from council? None? Did you have anything that you want to clarify on this one, Tim?
I will be extremely quick, just to note that the previous one was a red line revision of the subdivision. This is a brand new subdivision application. This is the first time that it's come forward to you. And by first time, I don't mean you've never seen it before, because obviously there was the statutory public meeting in November, but I just mean that the application has never received draft plan approval before. So it's just slightly different, and again, this is a plan that encompasses a couple of different components. You've got the plan of subdivision and then the zoning bylaw amendment. They are both recommended for approval and represent good planning. So that was all I would say.
So does that raise questions, Councillor Kennis?
Yeah, so is this really a phase 2, or is it really 2 parts to one project that's going to be done all at the same time?
Go ahead.
Through the chair, this is fun because we get to talk about like how plans of subdivision work and whatnot a little bit more freer. But I won't take forever because this isn't what we're here for. But this is technically a separate plan of subdivision. It will be registered as a second subdivision. It will have its own plan number and will run separately. They will be doing them at separate times. One will have to follow the other, but if the market allows for it, I think the comments that I've received in the past is that they will move forward with it expeditiously, knowing that the servicing can be done sort of all as one. You know, once you're in the ground, you might as well keep going, sort of thing.
Councillor Hippel?
Thank you, through yourself too, Tim. So when you're taking Edgewood Lane and you're going all the way through Trillium Place, and then you're going into the new subdivision that's headed into Rougham, there's one house. There's this one house in red, right on the edge, and then and that's on that side, and then on the new subdivision that we're looking at is it's got 2 that look like they're attached to it. Not attached, but do you know what I mean? They're side by side. So like, does it flow? Like, is this all flowing together? Or is this, like, cause it looks like they're just all together. Do you know what I'm asking you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think what we're talking about are the ones, the one lot that appears to be to the farthest west,
Yes.
left on the drawing, and then there are 2 in the adjoining subdivision.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Awesome. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so yes, it is on its own in this subdivision. They knew that subdivision next door had the 2 lots. It was designed in order to be a group of 3. The reason why there's a space between that and then the other lots to the right-hand side of that is that allows us an opportunity to have an access point into the woodlot. So this woodlot will eventually be maintained by the municipality, and so that's a spot where we can access it. That's why there's a break there. It's natural heritage right almost up to the road. It creates a connection for both water as well as wildlife to move from the northern block to the southern block. So the design there is that the lots are diagonally set up so that they can funnel, just hit my mic, sorry about that. But they funnel wildlife into the channel, which would then allow them to move to the southerly area. So there's a bunch of design features here to go with the natural heritage part of this, as well as the housing and whether it's going to look good from an urban design perspective. There's a lot of pieces there in that puzzle.
Thank you.
Councillor Derbyshire.
Thank you, through you to I just want to say director, but I'm going to say to Mr. Williams. Are they setting this place up so that the dewatering and all that is done on both sections so that it is ready to go, so that we can then take control and get ready to go? Or are they setting it up as if they're going to build the front section, then we do the road, and then they go back and do the rear section? Or is this looking to be one whole project and then obviously the other, like, are they trying to do their whole project, or is it going to end up in 2 phases, with us kind of getting our road ready in the middle, if that makes sense?
The intention was that they would move through the chair. The intention was that they would move forward with all the parts all at once. However, we wouldn't be opposed to them taking a break if necessary, so that we can move forward with our piece if there's some reason for that. But that isn't necessarily the intention.
Any other
Thanks.
questions? Oh, sorry, you had more?
No, I said thanks.
Oh, okay.
I was just being
Didn't mean to
polite.
cut you off.
No.
Any other questions? If not, there are the 4 recommendations on the floor. Can we deal with them all in one vote? I see everybody nodding their heads. All in favor? Thank you, that passes. Pages turned already, shouldn't I? Everybody's favorite spot on the agenda, community services. Rob Ziegler, 6.4, emergency water boiler replacement at the Gemini, SC 24-156, and a motion to, I guess, yeah, we receive it for information. Is that what we're looking for? Yeah. Motion to receive, Councillor Hippel, Councillor Pelkman, and do you want to speak to it?
Through the chair to members of council, we had a water heater fail at the Gemini. We needed to replace it ASAP because of domestic hot water needs, as well as the ice resurfacing needs for the 2 sheets of ice. The cost was $44,360 plus HST.
Can I just ask, does that come out of a reserve fund, or where did that come from?
Through the chair to the chair, it will come out of the arena reserve. At the end of 2023, that reserve had $847,225.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? None? All in favor? Thank you. 6.4.2, the Community Events Program Grant Allocations, SC 2024-158. And the motion is that we receive that for information and that we approve the allocations as identified in the report. Somebody to make the motion? Councillor Brennan, Councillor Kennis. Director?
Thank you, Chair. In front of you this evening is the CEP allocations. The Community Development Advisory Committee met. They've recommended 10 groups for council's considerations. The total value of the grant requests were $46,412.43 on a proposed budget of $55,000, and I'm available for any questions should there be any.
Councillor Hippel.
Thank you, through yourself to the director. I don't have any problems with any of these. I think these are great, and I like CDAC's recommendations. But I do have a question with the Caradoc Home and School. 2, actually. It's great that we're incorporating a school to be able to use this and be part of that. Have we ever had a school ask us for help in this type of situation? And B, is this situation possibly going to present to other schools. This is an opportunity for other schools to be a part of this program as well, reaching out, to ask for help in these types of situations.
Through the chair to Councillor Hippel, this is the first school that this is the first school that I've been involved with regards to this program, which has been 12 years. So before that, I'm unaware. Councillor Pelkman may have some further information on that. But they qualified and the committee made the recommendation.
Councillor Pelkman.
I think we gave money to the Holy Cross, did we not, for an event last year?
Sorry, through the chair to Councillor Pelkman, you are correct. It was SDCI's, it was in support of the Indigenous Day.
That's right.
Councillor Derbyshire, and then I'll bounce back to Councillor Pelkman.
No, it's not a follow-up.
Okay, I didn't. Sorry, I was just gonna ask, and I know that it's not on here, I just saw the Delco Bridges Canada Day thing and wondered if the other Canada Day celebration that we've put money behind, like, does it somewhere fall into here, or how are we kind of monitoring or staying with that program to see where, what, how that's coming along, or whether that is even part of something you want? I'm just wondering where it's kind of at, or whether that's an attachment to us, or how we kind of keep track of our dollars.
Through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire, the request that came from the Canada Day Committee in Strathroy was funded out of the 2023 grant allocations, 2024 grant allocations. These are 2025 grant allocations. They did not feel that they needed to ask for any more money, so they did not. So we provided them with $9,000 in 2024 to be able to host the fireworks in 2025. The reason for that was they needed the seed money to hold the date for the fireworks display that they want to hold. So we are in constant contact with them. They are working with us. I know that they're been meeting with the fire prevention officer on fallout zones and locations and that sort of stuff.
Did you have a follow-up, Councillor Derbyshire?
No,
Good.
thank you. You
Councillor
answered it.
Pelkman and Councillor Brennan, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Actually, I was going to touch on the same subject. Having run the Strathroy Canada Day fireworks myself for a number of years, we just have to be prepared that there may be an ask towards the end of the calendar year for the following year. The unfortunate part is that you take a significant amount of money at the gate, and if you have a cold or a rainy day, suddenly your projected funds evaporate in a heartbeat. It's fortunate that it's not on a weekend, because that also makes it very iffy for if people stay in the community or if they've decided to go elsewhere. That also affects your gate revenues. So I asked a question at CDAC if why they weren't on the list, and got the same answer. But I think we need to be prepared if things don't go as planned, for things that are out of the committee's control, that we need to be able to possibly help them for the following year.
Councillor Brennan?
I do know that the Canada Day Committee plan on making an update at our next council meeting, and they'll be addressing the very things that Councillor Pelkman's talking about, but we'll leave it till then. I know they tried to get on tonight's agenda, but they'll be on the January 20th agenda, and they're going to provide us with an update.
Thank you. Director Littleborn, sorry. So I see on the top of the report, it says CEP is $55,000. The request is to allocate 46,000 and change, leaving 8,000 and change in the pot if the other group comes forward later, correct? I'm reading it right?
Through the chair to the chair, yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, there's any other questions? Sorry. There's a motion on the floor. Any other questions? None? All in favor? Thank you. Opposed? No, Bo, did you raise your hand on that?
Oh,
Maybe
no, I
missed it.
didn't. Put me in somewhere.
You're in? Good, sure. Thanks. 6.4.3, Architectural Services Contract Extension SC 24-59. There's two recommendations. That we receive it for information and that council approve option 2 within the report to extend the contract with A-Link Architecture, Inc. for a period of 3 years ending December 31, 2027. Somebody to make the two motions, if you will. Thank you. Councillor Kennis, Councillor Brennan. And are you presenting on this, Director? Great, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The report in front of you is just the extension of the architectural services agreement. The original tender had an option in that agreement to have a 3-year term extension to fully expire at the end of 2027. The contract has increased nominally since 2022 with an average of approximately 2.3% annually since the beginning of the contract. So staff are very satisfied with the turnaround time and the services that we've been receiving from A-Link.
Full report in your package. Is there any questions? Oh, Mayor Grantham.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you, and I'm supportive of retaining A-Link, but I have a question for Director Lilborn. On the list of current active municipal projects, Gemini expansion, and I apologize, Rob, I didn't get a chance to talk to you today, so I'm not, can you remind me what is that project that we're seeking Class C costing on?
Through the chair to your worship, that was an approved project in 2023, I believe it was, where council directed us to work on a design and plan for an expansion of a gymnasium, walking track, and additional programming space up at the Gemini. So we're at the stage now where we're just waiting for the Class C costing to come in, and we hope to have that by the end of the year.
Any further questions?
Thank you for that, Rob. Appreciate it.
Councillor Derbyshire.
Thank you. It's not that I'm opposed going forward, because obviously where it says here, we would have to figure out then how to finish up these contracts. Come 2027, if this isn't the direction we want to have, like, just when I look here, say we said, no, we don't want to continue with this. We've got quite a few projects on the go with them that we would then have to reevaluate to someone else or continue to pay them out and move forward with somebody else if they were willing to do that. Come 2027, I know we can't predict where we're going to be, but we can see we have a lot of projects in the queue that are coming forward. Should we be looking at this possibly sooner as opposed to a couple months before? Like, this is one of these things that it feels like, I don't want to say we're stuck going with them, because that's not the right way of putting it, but essentially we're stuck going with them because we're knee deep in projects that are probably going to cost us too much to possibly get out if we're not satisfied. So going forward, is there a way that we can somehow figure out, maybe where we're headed in 2027, possibly now, as opposed, or within the next year or two, as opposed to just right before the deadline?
So we'll get an answer from the director and then probably a comment from the CAO.
Through the chair to Councilor Derbyshire, you are absolutely 100% correct. Moving forward, we'll be looking at going out 6 months prior to the end of this, if council approves the extension, looking to go out 6 months before the end of the contract for architectural services, if that's the direction council wishes us to go again. Or we could then just go out and look for individual architects to do projects, depending on the direction of council. But we would definitely be looking at this much quicker or sooner than we are currently.
Madam CAO.
Thank you. And further to that comment, we would be looking in 2026, like for whatever projects we're thinking ahead of that we wouldn't start something that has the potential to carry over beyond the length of the contract without a conversation about that.
Any further questions? Two motions on the floor. We'll deal with them at the same time. All in favor? Thank you. Engineering and Public, oops, I gotta turn that on. Engineering and Public Works, 6.5.1, 215 Scott Street West Engineering Award, EPW 2024-84. I believe 2 recommendations. I gotta flip the page. 2 recommendations. That we receive the report for information, that council directs staff to enter into an agreement with Driven Engineering for completion of the engineering work with a budget of $23,850 inclusive of HST. Somebody to make the motions, the 2 of them, Councillor Pelkman, Councillor Hippel. Thank you. Director.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair to Council, the report in front of you is to award the engineering design of a sanitary service connection at 215 Scott Street in Strathroy. The recommended vendor is Driven Engineering based on technical and cost, cost per technical point. The total value of the contract is $23,850, and I'm available to answer questions.
Questions from members? Councillor Hippel.
Thank you, through yourself to our director. So $8,850 is quite a bit different than $50,705. I am looking at your technical score, and yeah, how is that such a huge difference?
Through the Chair to Council. It's definitely a consideration when we're reviewing proposals, and it ultimately will be staff's responsibility to ensure that the project and the deliverables are undertaken and meet specification. It's something that we do take into consideration in conjunction with the technical aspect. In this case, we reviewed both technical and the cost, and they were the successful proponent based on both factors.
Yes, Councillor Hippel.
So thank you through yourself. So are we worried at all that with their technical score being the lowest, and yet their price is the lowest, which obviously that's not a horrible thing because that's a massive difference in cost, but are we worried that $8,850 might end up going a little higher if they run into issues?
Through the Chair, it is a concern, absolutely, and again, it is going to be staff's responsibility to ensure that we get the service that we need at the cost that is outlined. So definitely something we take into consideration, and very keen to note that there's a pretty significant cost difference between the 2 lowest, and it's something that we need to manage appropriately.
Thank you.
Councillor Derbyshire.
Thank you. That is exactly what I was thinking. My biggest fear is that we don't have ourselves covered and end up with them in the driver's seat, even though the job isn't our satisfaction or our conditions. So, I mean, we have to make sure when we're basing it off the lowest bid, that I don't want to say they're not qualified, but we've run into a few things this year with people that were not capable of doing the project. And it ended up, we don't have, as long as we have the correct things in the contract, that puts a timeline, a date, all our stages and things that need to be there, then we have a leg to stand on. So we just need to make sure if we're doing this that we are covering all of our, you know what I mean. I think you do. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Derbyshire. Councillor Pelkman.
I was just gonna say, if it helps to leave anyone's concern, given the motion that we made at the previous meeting, this is just to provide a stub for one house, correct? So it's not a complicated project where we're trying to rebuild a whole street, so it may just be that the other firms didn't deem it worth their while to put a competitive bid in for such a small project. But if they up their price and jack up their rate of return, then maybe it's worth their while if we grant it to them then. So Would that be a possible assessment of the situation?
Absolutely.
Through the chair to council, yeah, very possible, and we took that into consideration in the evaluation, given the complexity of the project. Like I suggested to Councillor Hippel, we're going to make sure that we get the engineer that we need for the cost that's outlined.
Thank you. Any other questions? Two motions on the floor. All in favor? And opposed? No, Councillor, you're in. Oh, thank you. It carries.
Carries anyways.
Seems like tonight I'm the delay not getting my pages turned. Tender award, Kovacs Drain Branches 2024 EPW-2024-85. Two recommendations. First, that we receive it for information. Second, that we award the Kovacs Drain Branches 2024 project to McNally Excavating in the amount of $79,000, excluding HST. Somebody make the two motions, please. Councillor Kenneth, Councillor Derbyshire, thank you. Director?
Thank you. Through the chair to council, in front of you is a report to award the construction of a municipal drain repair on the Kovacs drain. It's recommended to award a contract in the value of $79,000 to McNally Excavating, which will be assessed to Enbridge Gas for reimbursement. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Two-page report in front of you. Is there any questions? I see none. All in favor? Thank you. Carried. That moves us to County Council report. You have a document in the package, so I'll just leave it with that. Let's move to inquiries and comments by members. Councillor Brennan, start at the back.
Well, you're going to surprise you. You took me by surprise. Wow, I was thinking about having a chocolate. Okay, I'll get started then. I have two, essentially. The other night at our finance meeting, there were some questions raised about the percentage of the annual operating budget that was being used by departments. So what I'd like to do is ask through the chair to Director Lilbourne if he could just give us an update because it was, at the finance meeting it's hard to answer, on the fly. But what percentage of your operating budget was actually consumed last year? Did you leave 30 to 50% of your operating budget, unused, or was there a different figure?
Through the chair to Councillor Brennan, so the 2023 numbers, the department actually overspent its expenses by 3.5% and had a overall surplus of 6.35%. That just means that we were able to realize additional revenues that we did not budget for.
Thank you, and I have a very similar question, I guess, to Director Ortiz. And I realize you're relatively new with us, and we're talking about things that happened before you were here. But is 30 to 50% of your operating budget left unspent each year, or is it a different figure?
Yes.
Through the chair, similar to Director Lilbourne, looking at 2023, we were on the public works side, 91% spent. In 2023. A couple of items that we were underspent on were fuel and some salaries and wages. In 2024, we're on track for a similar spend. On the wastewater side, we were 93% spent in 2023. And again, we're on track for a similar spend in 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pelton.
Yes, thank you. Since this is our last meeting of the year, I would just urge everyone as they're going about their holiday celebrations to please not drink and drive. I see in our own stats from our police reports that is still an issue, and the last thing we want is for a family member to get a knock on the door and have some terrible news that someone's not coming home. So please be responsible. I hope everybody has a great holiday celebration, and for all those staff here at the town hall thank you very much for the work that you've done over the past year and answering my questions when I asked them. And to my fellow councillors, I think it's been a more productive year than the previous one. And I look forward to the third year this term being more productive again. So.
Thank you. Councillor Hippel. I just lost the Who am I going to next, eh?
I'm standing there going, I'm looking right at Councillor Derbyshire going, okay, oh, nope, not you. Wow, I missed a lot of thank yous at the last one, so I don't know if I can just kind of like put it all together in one little ball. I was really honored to be invited to go to the Junior Chefs banquet, which our Recreation Department puts on for children in our community, and the food was phenomenal. It was fantastic, and it was a very great thing to be at, and the kids were just they were so excited, and they knew how to cook, and I can safely tell you at that age, I don't know, maybe even at this age, that I wasn't that good as they were that evening, and I think that we've done a lot of good with all of the programming that we have and keep having in that department. So I'm pretty proud of that. We were able to award some great achievements at the fire banquet a few weeks back, and that's a pretty great thing, knowing that in our municipality as it grows that we've got some fantastic firefighters in our municipality. So awarding them is a pleasure and an honor as well. We've had a lot of Christmas markets, turkey bingos. We have had stuff going on in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It has been crazy, but it's been exciting. And the community is so involved, so prepared. They put so much work into it. And it's just really nice to see the engagement and people, keeping it local and really supporting local. I want to give one quick shout out to our previous council member who his grandson made the World Juniors. So congratulations, Easton Cowan. You know I can't get through any of the inquiries without talking hockey quickly. And I also, another hockey tidbit, Mount Bridges Junior C Bulldogs are having a teddy bear toss this Saturday. So come on out and throw that teddy bear on the ice when they score their first goal, because these teddy bears go to our community members that are in need. And before I leave it, I am just going to say, I want to wish everyone healthy, a healthy holiday with your family, your friends, and I just would like to remind everyone that there are a lot of people in our community that don't find that this time of year is a happy one. And from whatever circumstances that they're dealing with, we have seniors in the area that don't have family and don't have any support. We've got families that are struggling financially and otherwise. And I guess I would ask that you be aware and empathetic towards those around you, that it's not as happy for everyone that it may seem. So be healthy, be happy, and be empathetic to everyone around you.
Councillor Pam?
Yeah, I just want to echo Councillor Hippel's comments about all the activities that have been going on in the community the last month or so, and a big shout out to all the volunteers that make those things happen. It takes a great amount of work. They don't appear out of thin air, and all over the municipality there's people stepping forth and doing what they can to engage, whether it's like Christmas gifts or volunteer for the Salvation Army or do a bingo. I just want to give a big shout out to all the volunteers working especially hard this time of year. And I'll just wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hope the staff get to take a little bit of a break too over the holidays.
Councillor Kennis?
A couple of things. One, I was wondering if we could maybe get just a short update on the construction project at Metcalf and Queen, how long that'll be going on before they shut it down for the winter. or will they be going the whole winter?
Director Ortiz, I suspect that's your specialty.
Thank you. Through the chair, to council, the intersection itself will be shut down until Wednesday of this week. They're aiming to get it back up and going, the Metcalf, on Wednesday evening. And they'll be wrapping up relatively quickly after that, and they'll be getting back to it in the early spring. So, yeah, we won't have it over Christmas.
The other item, just talking about all of the things going on at this time of the year. I have a son that works in the restaurant world, and he was talking to me today, and a bit concerned because, and just to make everybody aware, when the GST came off of restaurant meals on the 14th, everybody's bill dropped, and most people offer gratuities to their servers and bartenders and all that kind of stuff based on the whole bottom line bill. And that's become quite a bit less because 15% is gone. And as a result, the take-home pay for a lot of people in the hospitality serving world will decrease at Christmas rather than increase. So it's something that I had never thought about, but it's something I just wanted to mention to everybody listening today, that remember those people that serve you your food and your drinks at this time of the year, because it may not be as merry as everyone had intended to be for those folks. So, and with that, I just wish everybody a happy holiday. So.
Thank you. Councillor Derbyshire.
Thank you. I don't really have a whole lot to say. I actually just kind of want to thank the community of Strathroy-Caradoc as a whole. I want to thank the people that watch our great show here every other Monday. You know, I want to thank the people that have reached out through emails, you know, and kind of kept all of us moving forward, you know, with the business at hand. You know, obviously it's our honor to sit here and represent these people, so I do want to wish everyone here Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. So, thank you.
Your Worship, Mayor Grantham, you can have
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor, and I want to echo the sentiments of everyone, especially Councillor Derbyshire's comments about what a privilege it is to serve our constituents, and Councillor Pelkman's comments about what a productive year it has been. I know it has been. It's been up and down at times, but I do feel it's been a very productive year. But I do want to take a moment, if I can, Deputy Mayor, just to comment on one council in particular. As you know, we had 2 resignations from Caradoc Housing, so I want to thank Councillor Palmer and Councillor Wilsey for their service. But on behalf of council, I want to give a really special thank you to Councillor Palmer. I approached her, I guess, as a favor, if she'd be willing to be chair of Caradoc Housing. She took on a task that many of us don't realize what a daunting task it was. I mean, she has other jobs, but I can tell you that Councillor Palmer was a true champion in seeing this project through. She did it on behalf of council. So, Councillor Palmer, on behalf of all the council, I want to thank you for your efforts as chair of the past 2 years of Caradoc Housing. So, thank you and job well done, Donna. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And with that, wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Over the last couple of weeks, I've spent a lot of time reflecting and speaking with people that work, you know, those long hours, those 24-hour shifts, as I was spending a great deal of time in the hospital. I'm aware that, and I don't mean to be a downer here, but I want us just to reflect a little bit. You know, we have an amazing fire service, and I know that a number of our firefighters are struggling. And so we need to show our appreciation for those men and women that are out there doing that job, taking those calls in the middle of the night, come out to save you when you've been in a traffic accident or in a house fire. They're the ones that come out. Of course, I can't say about the fire department without talking about the police service. Again, they're going to be out there during the holidays. They're going to be speaking to you if you're driving your car, but they're away from their families so that you're safe. Our EMS personnel, I sit on that board. Again, I've had a lot of dealings with them over this past year. You know, the tragedy that they see as these three emergency services work together, we should never forget that. So as the year comes to a close, I hope that we can just take a moment to remember those people. I do want to thank all of the staff. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you. I think we've brought Director Ortiz in, and just an amazing individual, and so happy that you've joined our team. And to my fellow councillors, this has been a great year. It's been a great experience for the last 2 years, but we are certainly gelling as a team. And to you, Your Worship, it's a pleasure working under your tutelage and everything that you're teaching me over the last couple of years, and you've become a true friend, so I thank you for that. It's a pleasure serving the community. So with that, our next schedule of meetings is coming up with a finance meeting January 13th of 2025. Regular council meetings will return on Monday, January 20th, 2025, 6 o'clock back here, and then we do another finance meeting on the 27th of January. So we'll be meeting back to back again in the New Year's as we push forward. Town Hall is closed from the 24th, the evening of the 24th, end of day 24th, through till the 2nd of January.
It's closed at half day.
Half day on the 24th, so lunchtime. We'll close at lunchtime and then return on January 2nd. Is that what I read?
Yes.
I see you staff are saying yes, so that's good. They know when they're coming back. Take some time, enjoy your family and time away, and just relax. Next is we will be moving into camera. Council will now meet in closed session to consider matters it is permitted to do so under the Municipal Act and is listed on tonight's agenda. So I need a motion that council enter closed session at 7:17 p.m. to discuss the following. 2 items in accordance with council's procedure bylaw to approve regular and special in-camera minute meetings of November 18th, 2024. 1 item pursuant to section 239(2)H of the Municipal Act 2001 regarding information supplied in confidence to the municipality by another level of government, contribution agreement, and 3 items pursuant to section 239(2)E of the Municipal Act 2001 regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Somebody to make that motion to go into closed session. Councillor Kennis, Councillor Hippel, all in favor? Thank you. Give it about 10 seconds. Meeting will close, and then staff can leave if they're moving. Okay, motion that we return to open session at 8:24 PM. Councillor Derbyshire, Councillor Kennis, thank you. Council met in closed session to consider matters it is permitted to do so under the Municipal Act, and as listed on tonight's council agenda, the following items were considered during the closed session. 2 items in accordance with council's procedure bylaw to approve regular and special in-camera meeting minutes of November 18th, 2024. The minutes were approved. 1 item pursuant to section 239(2)H of the Municipal Act 2001 regarding information supplied in confidence to the municipality by another level of government contribution agreement. Council received a confidential report for information. Direction was given to staff. 3 items pursuant to section 239(2)E of the Municipal Act 2001 regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board water matters. Council received 3 confidential staff reports for information. Direction was given to staff. Do you want that other call for motion then?
Yes.
Yes,
for the
okay. So I need a motion that the direction given in closed session be approved. Councillor Brennan, thank you. Councillor Derbyshire, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Now, I have a motion. I'm looking for council approve the reimbursement of $3,700 to the homeowner in relation to water issues at 145 Metcalf Street East. Councillor Kennis, Councillor Derbyshire, all in favor? And Councillor Wilsey would vote in favor. Thank you. That passes. That council approve a reimbursement of $20,000 to the homeowner in relation to water issues at 593 Darcy Drive. All in favor? Darcy Drive? Pardon me? Oh, sorry, yes, you're right. Getting ahead of my moves. Councillor Pelkman, seconded Councillor Kennis. Thank you. All in favor? And Council Wilsey would vote in favor. Down? Okay, against. That passes. That council approve a reimbursement of $18,350.16 in relation to a water issue at 304 Drury Lane. Somebody to make the motion, please. Councillor Palmer, seconded Councillor Pelkman. All in favor? And Councillor Wilsey? In favor. All opposed? 2. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, let me get back to where we were. Consideration of bylaws. We have bylaw 11124, 11824, 12024, 12724, 12824, 2924, and 13024. All is one motion unless somebody wants to separate them. Did you want to separate them?
I'd like you to read them all out, Mike.
No.
That's hilarious.
We can take them all as one, first, second, and third, and final reading. Councillor Kennis, Councillor Brennan, all in favor, and that passes. Bylaw, no, I don't need any of that. Motion to adjourn at 8:28 PM. Councillor Brennan, Councillor Kennis, and all in favor. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Sorry, Frank.